Mitsubishi Starion was a two-door rep Porsche 924. Kidding, all right? It's a turbocharged four-cylinder that was manufactured by Mitsubishi from 1982 to 1989. The 80s were an interesting time because it was just before the pre-boom of the Japanese market. Now, you may know the Mitsubishi Starion, but some of us know it as the Chrysler Conquest. Yee-haw, all right? Chrysler used to do that sort of stuff. It's the whole DSM bridging that happened in the 90s. It's a pretty exciting time. And if you believe in astrological symbols and all that shit, there's some bonus points for you. The Starion name comes from a contraction of the star of Arion, which refers to the mythical horse, Arion. Talk about what it's like to actually own one of these Japanese lean, slick fighting machines that still doesn't have an appreciation tax yet. Thank God, all right? So you want a Mitsubishi Starion or any of the 9 different million trim types of that specific car? Well, set down your DSM argument and pick up your favorite Rust-Oleum because we're about to talk about what it's like to actually own one of these. The Mitsubishi Starion is a car that was essentially just lost in the sauce. Ask many people and they have no idea or clue what they're actually looking at. And that's what makes them so underappreciated and awesome. All right, they're pinnacle 80s design, all right, that feature too many hard lines and aggressive front ends that make you think somebody just ended up retrofitting an FC RX-7 turbo hood to a Mitsubishi because it just looked like fun. And then you find out, no, they actually came with that hood. And you're like, that's sweet. We should bring back hood scoops. Like, that should be a thing. Not only did the car do that, but it was also just funky and fun. You got electronic seat belts. How much more 80s can you get? All right, since you have the McPhersons, you can play around with the suspension a bit with coilovers or even air if you're feeling a little bit feisty. But most importantly, you have an older 4G63 engine that you can do just about anything with. And if you know anybody that has a 4G63 engine, those things are literally gold. They are the best thing you could possibly imagine, even though they have a tendency to not always be running. Is it reliable? Is it worth modifying? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But would it be fun to throw it on the ground and scream around and listening to some Night Call by Kambinski? Yes, it would be, because it's an 80s coupe that has shapes on it, all right? Literally, you could put that thing in geometry class and you would learn about all the different types of shapes that you would need to know as a 9-year-old. All right, the Starion belongs on coilovers, most notably BC's, because BC literally has everything. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they do, all right? Throw some money at the motor and pray you don't get the DSM disease, and you're pretty much set to have a car that not many people know about, care about, or even would want to own. But if it's at a car show or at a track day or at an autocross or at an HPD, a lot of people are gonna ask you what it is. It's what makes them affordable. It's what makes them unique. The Mitsubishi Starion laid the framework for what would inevitably be the launch of the Talon Eagle Eclipse and helped actually found the interest in the Japanese forced induction Mitsubishi market overseas through Chrysler, Dodge, and of course Mitsubishi itself. And the partnership that those 3 companies had together continued to allow the importation alliance of this odd Japanese sports car. And then it built it into the cool shit that we know and love today. It became one of the cars that laid it down for the 90s boom, baby. The Starion was not one of those cars that made the list of the 90s, and it's not one you're gonna hear many people talk about, but it was the one that propelled those cars to the success that we now know and love. We don't see many of them, but we probably should. Whether as a Conquest or a Starion, or whatever variant that you'd like to see it as, the world needs more unreliable, modified 80s cars that smell like old cigars and poor perfume. That's all I'm saying. But what do you think about the Mitsubishi Starion? Let us know in the comments section below.